It's Michael Popak, Legal AF. As we've said in the past, the byproduct of the Georgia election interference case and the discovery there would help special counsel Jack Smith in his federal election interference criminal case against Donald Trump. And we're seeing it now with Ken Cheseboro's testimony. His proffer on video to the Fulton County DA is already going to be used by Jack Smith in his case against Donald Trump to prove that Donald Trump knew, was involved with, was briefed about the use of fake electors as part of the conspiracy scheme to cling to power. That linkage, that connection of the dots between Ken Cheseboro, his fake elector scheme that he was the architect of, and directly Donald Trump has now been made, that direct link in the chain, not even through another person, just directly Donald Trump and Ken Cheseboro in new proffered testimony from Ken Cheseboro. What does proffered testimony mean? And what are we talking about with these leaks? Well, as part of her discovery obligations to turn over any kind of information that's relevant to the defense or the prosecution, Fani Willis had to turn over video recordings of the testimony given by each of the now convicted criminals who worked with Donald Trump as lawyers, particularly Jenna Ellis, Sidney Powell, and Ken Cheseboro, as a condition of them getting their plea deals. Ken Cheseboro got a felony, pled guilty to one count felony conviction in order for him to get his plea deal, but he had to give a proffer. These proffers are videotaped. They're interviews under oath where they're required to download everything they know and tell the truth to the prosecutors. They were videotaped. They were produced to the defense. The defense, all of these remaining 14 or so co-defendants got a copy of it, and somebody leaked it to the media, even though it's not helpful to Donald Trump in the least. In fact, we just found out from the clip from Ken Cheseboro that the Washington Post reported on that he disclosed in his recorded statement to the Georgia prosecutors to be used by Jack Smith in the District of Columbia case that there was a previously unreported meeting in the White House in which Donald Trump himself was briefed by Ken Cheseboro on election challenges in Arizona, in which he summarized a memo giving his recommendation on how to use the fake elector scheme in the key battleground states to try to turn the election to Donald Trump. So we have a direct linkage. Now, we've already known from prior reporting, prior evidence, and the Jan 6 committee that the following people, all closely orbiting Donald Trump, were involved with the fake elector scheme and or that knew about the fake electors being used. Boris Epshteyn, the consigliere in-house counsel still with Donald Trump, was involved with coordinating the fake elector scheme, and he, although he didn't have an official title, he worked very closely with Donald Trump. Mark Meadows, the former chief of staff, who is in a limited way cooperating with Jack Smith in the District of Columbia, although he's been indicted by Fani Willis in Georgia. He was involved, this is all outlined in the Jan 6 committee report, he was very intimately involved with coordinating the fake electors in the various battleground states. He did that as a liaison between the Trump campaign, Donald Trump himself, and a guy by the name of Mike Roman, who's also been indicted in Georgia, and it was involved with the election day campaign coordination. He was the guy that was the mule that ran the fake elector certificates, collected them, and tried to deliver them to the National Archive, to various court systems, and to Mike Pence as part of the pressure campaign on Mike Pence. So you have Mike Roman, Boris Epshteyn, and Mark Meadows. Now you have a witness, Ken Cheseboro, who has testified that his client at the time, Donald Trump, was briefed by him about the fake elector scandal, and it was given the sign-off and the stamp of approval by Donald Trump. So now Donald Trump's not going to be able to say, I didn't know anything about the fake electors. I didn't know they were going to be used, these alternate electors. That wasn't part of the plan. I wasn't part of the plan. I wasn't part of the conspiracy. That's all been blown away by Ken Cheseboro. Now, Ken Cheseboro is not indicted in the DC election interference case. He's one of those unindicted co-conspirators. In fact, not even listed as an unindicted co-conspirator, although Boris Epshteyn obviously is. and others like Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani. He skated by on that one. But in any event, we now have a direct, not circumstantial evidence, direct evidence of the testimony of the lawyer about the client, about the recommendation, about the memo, about the fake electors being used in battleground states. This, in addition, if we're layering on the evidence onto Donald Trump, we also have the testimony that establishes that Mark Meadows and Donald Trump were given a briefing by at least two outside forensic examining firms, consultant firms that Donald Trump hired and paid millions of dollars to look for voter fraud, and was told point blank by both of them there was no voter fraud. Again, a direct establishment of evidential link between Donald Trump and the conspiracy. And that is what Jack Smith is hell-bent on doing, piling up the evidence layer after layer, direct and circumstantial, testimonial and documentary, to be presented at this trial. Ken Cheseboro obviously is going to have to cooperate with Jack Smith, and we could assume by now he's either given a proffer to Jack Smith to avoid his own indictment or is cooperating with Jack Smith. And so that is the new reporting about, now that we've seen the video, right? Now that we've gone to the video, now that we know what's happened, and now we're taking out these evidential data points and suggesting here on this particular hot take that this is how Jack Smith is going to use it in his case in chief against Donald Trump. So for all those times that Donald Trump gets up in his various social media or at rallies or in interviews, and he says he had nothing to do with any of these people, he didn't know about any of these people, he wasn't briefed about this wasn't his idea, and he left it to other people, right? Like the old Godfather, the buffers between him, and the actual people that were executing the plan. Here we have the direct link. Now, some people might be thinking, well, isn't this going to strengthen Donald Trump's argument that he was relying on the advice of counsel, and therefore he's got some sort of pass under common law because this could defeat a criminal case against him if he reasonably relied on the advice of counsel. So now we're bringing this hot take full circle. Judge Chutkan has anticipated, because of prior filings and prior statements made by Donald Trump's lawyers, that Donald Trump will try an advice of counsel, maybe arguing, well, now, sure, that meeting I had with Ken Cheseboro, that was advice of counsel. I listened to him and I relied on it. But that's not how advice of counsel works. You got to have the client providing the lawyer with full and complete information in order to obtain complete advice from the lawyer, and then the client has to prove that he followed that advice to a T, and therefore should not be found criminally liable. And you can see already the Swiss cheese holes that have developed that will defeat all of these elements required to establish reasonable reliance on advice of counsel. And so Judge Chutkan has said, if you're going to rely on it, then by February 15th, I want to know that you're going to rely on it. I want to know the lawyers that you say you relied upon, and I want to know the documents, information, and advice you gave, or communication you gave to them, and the advice they gave to you, and I want you to show it to me. Because if you don't have all of that, I'm not going to let you, if you ever take the stand, and that decision hasn't been made yet, but if you ever take the stand, Mr. Trump, as a defendant, you're not going to be able to put that in front of the jury unless I evaluate the credibility or the basis, the foundation of your defense. And so that's going on right now. But this new reporting here about Ken Cheseboro and what he said to Fani Willis, Fulton County DA, and her people, is again another arrow in the quiver for Jack Smith as he presents his case to an ultimate jury in the District of Columbia come March of 2024. We'll continue what is going on and the information we've learned from the release of the videos of the proffers of Sidney Powell, Ken Cheseboro, and Jenna Ellis, all lawyers at the time for Donald Trump, and now convicted criminals in Georgia. Only one place, the MeidasTouch Network, on this particular YouTube channel. We do it on hot takes just like this one, and then we curate a podcast at the intersection of law, politics, and justice called Legal AF. It's exactly what you'd think. If you like hot takes, you're going to love Legal AF. Tune in Wednesdays, Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can pick it up on audio platforms wherever you get your podcasts from. Give me a thumbs up on this hot take. Leave a comment. I've been known to comment back. We can open a dialogue with each other. But until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popak reporting.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.